Shalom, Nawathan, Kal Halalim, Wahawad La, Abanawa, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Bahasham, Racha Kodash, Barakatha Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. Double honor to the elder apostles of the Great Millstone GMS who rule well, who teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutation to the elect. Adawan Ratazah, which means Lord willing. So Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. So got this article here. All right, inspiration for this lesson is drawn from this article, actually from KievIndependent.com, that was put up recently, 2 days ago or 3 days ago. All right, December the 12th, 2025, the hopeful year of our deliverance and the destruction and judgment of E. Okay, right now it's the 15th of December. All right, over here in the UK. All right, and I'll link this article in the description box underneath as well. Okay, but yeah, man, World War III is prophesied in the Holy Bible. All right, and throughout many different verses, okay, that goes into World War III. All right, like the book of Revelation, chapter 11 and verse 14. All right, the Apostle John did see in his visions World War III and the end of the Red Hebrew Edomites kingdom going out by the way of thermonuclear fire, and the visitation of our Messiah and Savior, Yahushua HaMashiach, who the world incorrectly and ignorantly refers to as Christ Jesus. Okay. So this is the time that we are quickly approaching, the end of the world of E, the Caucasian race. All right. And when I say world, I'm talking world in the sense of the Greek word aeon, meaning an age. All right. A rulership, a time period. All right. Pursuing to the book of Matthew chapter 24 and verse 3. So yeah, the third world cometh quickly, man. World War III. So that's what we're seeing in the news. Don't forget, Yahushua spake of wars and rumors of wars, but the end is not yet. All right, because all right, before World War III actually fully kicks off on a nuclear level, where the USA is completely annihilated and taken out permanently via thermonuclear missiles. All right, before that takes place, certain prophecies have to come to pass first. All right, such as the digital all, pursuant to the book of Revelation chapter 13 verse 16 on down. And that is an extremely important prophecy to know and understand in these times. And it is the RFID micro C-HIP, nothing else. Not Christianity, not an embargo, not sleeping with Shedamite women, right? Not French, not Spanish, not Kraut, that's German, okay? Not the Ice Lady, but it is most definitely the RFID micro C-HIP, all right? Okay, so if any of you Israelites, which consists of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the indigenous people of North, Central, and South America, right, and you Israelite foreigner speckled bird, all right. If any of you Israelites out there join yourself onto Esau's beast system, this digital system, the fourth industrial revolution that he's building, right? Okay. All right, those that join yourself onto that system by way of taking the mark, which is the RFID micro C-HIP, the MOTB, then you will perish. Facts. If you're in America and you're not part of the elect of the nation of Israel, then you will be consumed in the lake of fire. Simple as. Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 21. We'll start at verse 7, read to 8, and it reads, He that overcometh, all right, he that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will... Oh, don't start this crap again. Everything was going fine. Sure. Get rid of that. Revelation chapter 21, verse 7, He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his power, and he shall be my son. But the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. We know the first death was, the Great Flood. All right. Okay. A flood of water. This is going to be a flood of fire. All right. Okay. And indeed, Babylon the Great will be reduced to a lake of fire due to those intercontinental ballistic missiles and high-powered laser beams coming from the chariots of the Lord. Okay. So, the article, the Kiev Independent, Europe must prepare for war with Russia, NATO chief warns. Mark Rutte, a NATO Secretary General, gives a keynote speech at the invitation of the Munich Security Conference on the premises of the Bavarian State Representation on December the 11th, 2025. Europe must prepare itself for a full-scale armed conflict as it is, open quote, Russia's next target, end quote, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said on the 11th of December. Okay. And NATO is a part of the beast system that Apostle John saw in his vision on the Isle of Patmos 2,000 years ago. The beast that he saw was symbolic of Esau's power structure on the earth, right? His hegemony, if you like. Today that comes in the form of NATO, which stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. And alongside that, the EU, that stands for European Union, right? America is at the forefront of the whole beast system, which is pretty much the revival of the ancient Roman Empire. By the way, the European Union was established on what is known as the Treaty of Rome. So the entire European Union was birthed from the spirit of Rome, the ancient Roman Empire. That then led to the EEC, which stands for the European Economic Community. Okay. Which later turned into what we know as the European Union, EU. Okay. All right. Okay, in America, forget it. Never mind. All right. So yeah. So he said we must be prepared for the scale of war our grandparents and great-grandparents endured, Rutte said in a speech in Berlin, warning that Europe is already in harm's way. All right. You see, the NATO chief reiterated that Moscow could be ready for a war with the alliance within 5 years, echoing concerns of other Western officials voiced since the start of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. The worries were only further fueled by Russian warplanes and drones violating Allied airspace and escalating cases of sabotage, cyber attacks, and espionage linked to Russian intelligence services over the past months. Okay. So yeah, there you have it. All right. So yeah, World War III is heating up. Okay. We're in a time of war, not a time of peace. Ecclesiastes goes into that. In fact, let's go to the book of the prophet Habakkuk. Chapter 2. Let's go straight to the point, verse 3. And it reads, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time," the vision of these prophecies, okay? "But at the end it shall speak," and we're at the end right now, "and not lie." That's right, everything's coming to pass. "Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry." That's right, man. Okay. You see? So, the servants, the prophets, the believers of Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh are patiently waiting. Okay? And it's going to be, all this is going to be fulfilled in our lifetime. We are the final generation. Okay? Look how many articles come out on the MOTB, right? We're hearing of wars, rumors of wars, all right? Articles like this gets us excited. And it should excite you, all right? Proving, if it does, you're in the spirit. Rutte said that the conflict is at our door, as Russia has brought war back to Europe. He also warned against complacency in the face of this growing threat, urging stronger support for Ukraine and the rapid increase in defense spending and production. Spurred by the war in Ukraine and pressure from US President Donald Trump, NATO allies agreed to raise their defense spending benchmark to 5% of GDP by 2035 during the Hague summit in June. Rutt praised Allied efforts to strengthen their defense capabilities, noting that the production of 155 artillery ammunition in Europe has grown sixfold compared to 2 years ago. The NATO chief also revealed that Allied contributions to the prioritized Ukraine requirements list, a NATO-led initiative for purchasing US arms for Kiev, paid for roughly 75% of the country's Patriot missiles and 90% of the remaining air defense ammunition since August. Wow. Jeez. It's a lot right there, man. Okay. Yeah. From there we can go to in the Old Testament, of course, go to the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 13. We'll go to 17, but I'll just read verse 4 quickly. All right, the whole chapter is good. All right. And it reads, "The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise in the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord Yahweh of hosts, the Lord of armies," all right, heavenly armies, "mustereth the host of the battle." Remember, the Lord is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. That's Exodus chapter 15, verse 3. Okay. So, yeah. All right. The Lord is assembling these different nations around the world, gearing them up for World War III. And that's the time frame we're living in. Right? Can't escape it. Okay. You know, prepare war, let the mighty men draw near. Okay, that's Joel 3:9, loosely paraphrasing. Okay. All right. Again, before World War III kicks off. All right. You know, different prophecies have to be, come to pass before it happens. Again, like the MOTB, right, famine of hearing the word of the Lord, right, Jacob's trouble. Okay. All right, let's jump down to verse 17. And it reads, "Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it." Right, the Medes are the modern day Russians. Okay, the Lord will stir up these Russians against NATO, but primarily America, because the Lord's main target is America during World War III. Okay. All right. So America will be annihilated. All right. You see, so Russia plays a major role concerning World War III. All right, and they're the main antagonist to Babylon the Great America. Okay. And you can't buy off these Russians with money or silver or gold. Nah. They're fully set, to carry this out. And it's Bible prophecy anyway. Okay, verse 18. "Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eye shall not spare children." Rough. The modern day bow and arrow are the nuclear missiles that would be launched out of the nuclear silos. Okay, which are the bows. All right. The arrows would be, the nuclear missiles. All right. So this is parabolic talk. All right. So they're not gonna, care. The fruit of the womb is pregnant women. All right. So they ain't gonna care about that. All right. In fact, let's come back to that. But we'll go to a few chapters before Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 5, which reads, "For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire." Okay, it's a precept. World War III will not be like ancient wars, all right, in times past. It will be fought with modern day warfare, with modern day technology, military technology, nuclear missiles, all right, which makes it stand out and differ very much to previous wars, all right, which are up close, scream, yelling, sword, shield, actual swords and shield, you had cavalry, horses, actual bow and arrows, all right, battle instruments, equipment, clanging and things like that against each other, blood spilling, it. Okay. So back to Isaiah chapter 13 and, Verse 18, and it reads, their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eye shall not spare children. Okay. Again, fruit of the womb, that's pregnant women. Okay. And what bow and arrow, dash men to pieces? Right? Can't be no regular bow and arrow. Okay. So of course it's talking about the missiles. Remember, the prophets of old had to use terminology in them days to describe, the future visions that they saw. Okay. So yeah. So the Lord will put an evil thought into the mind of the leader of Russia. They will not care about children or the elderly or babies or what have you, right? When they launched them nuclear missiles onto America. And of course America's going to shoot missiles onto other, countries as well. All right. Different parts of the earth will be hit. All right, but the whole world won't be destroyed. Remember, the earth abideth forever. Okay. Moscow will get hit. Hong Kong will get hit, I reckon. All right. London, I believe, will get hit. All right. But we know America's going to be turned into a lake of fire. Okay. So yeah, we're indeed living in pivotal times. All right. Pivotal times, prophetic times. Okay. Straight to the point. 2nd Esdras, chapter 6, verse 9, which reads, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Yeah. The end of the world of E. Okay. The end of the world of E and the beginning of our world, the Israelites. Joel chapter 3, verse 9 reads, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, right, the other heathen nations. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. You see? Verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Right? Yeah, prepare war. Okay. And the plowshares and pruning hooks are equipment that is used on a farm, in farming, for agricultural purposes. So what's being said here through the Spirit is that these nations will take all the money that they have and invest it into preparing for war. Put that money into your military budget and spend it on what you need for World War III, which is what these countries are doing right now anyway. Right? Military spending is increasing. Okay, verse 10 again, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Right, the modern day sword is the missile, and now certain former weaker nations are now boasting of their military prowess. For example, North Korea, India. Right, in the past, they were weaker in comparison to America, far weaker. Now, lots of these other weaker countries have nuclear missiles. Okay, that's why they're saying they're strong now. Okay, all those nuclear missiles will be fired onto America when World War III is at its pinnacle. So this is what is taking place in the news concerning geopolitics as it pertains to World War III. So we are to measure the times diligently in itself and prepare our minds for what's to come. Okay, transition of worlds is about to happen. The comments come as Trump renews pressure for Ukraine to accept a swift peace deal with Moscow while taking an increasingly critical tone towards European allies. A new US national security strategy, which lambasted Europe while evading criticism of Moscow, has also fueled concerns about Trump's long-term commitment to transatlantic ties. Yeah. Oh, got this to show you from Euronews.com. Put up on the 12th of December this year. Croatia purchases German-made Leopards after donating tanks to Ukraine. Croatia signed a 1.48 billion euro deal to purchase 44 Leopard 288 tanks from Germany, replacing Eastern military equipment as part of a broader defense modernization program. All right. Yeah. Croatian Defense Minister Ivan signed the agreement in Berlin in the presence of Prime Minister Andrej and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, the Croatian Defense Ministry said. Croatia is gradually abandoning Eastern military technology and moving to Western technology, and the partnership with Germany is one of the ways we continuously strengthen cooperation in the field of defense. Plenković said. The deal is part of a broader €2 billion modernization program that includes 18 Caesar howitzers, 420 Tatra trucks, and anti-drone equipment. Berlin compensated Zagreb, that should be the capital of Croatia, with €144.8 million for 30 M84A4 Snatchper tanks and 30 M80 infantry fighting vehicles that Croatia transferred to Germany in late 2024, which were then donated to Ukraine, reducing the overall cost of the Leopard purchase. Wow. So see where things are heading. Revelation chapter 11 verse 14. Let's get it. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. World War II has passed, and World War III is coming quick. Revelation chapter 9 verse 12 reads, one woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. That's right, we know World War I has passed, World War II has passed, and we're at the beginning stages of World War III. Alright. Yeah. So, hey, Trump, going after Venezuela as well. Alright. And Venezuela has the largest, right? The largest oil reserves in the world. Okay. Kuwait does, have, plenty of that, oil as well. But Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world. So America wants their minerals and stuff. Okay. And the word Brazil goes back to the Hebrew word barazal, which means iron. Okay. Alright. But yeah. Okay. There we have it. So I'm going to end the lesson there. In closing, Kal Halal Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Racha Kodash forevermore. Moath Lababal. Enough love, peace, and respect. Shalom.